check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there?
Oh, not again.
Yeah, well, about the page.
Nothing has brought me greater joy than watching the Walt Disney Company absolutely panic over the last few weeks. They're mad at South Park because they're making fun of their woke ideologies, constantly race swapping or religion swapping everything in their movie.
It's a brand new exclusive event with all your favorite South Park characters.
Dude, school is going to be so awesome today.
I had explosive diarrhea all night. I like big boobs.
Oh, hamburgers.
How does this even make any sense?
It makes perfect sense. I think the problem is you.
So Snow White slept and waited for her prince to come, but he never did. Because a woman shouldn't have to depend on a man. Snow White was brought back to life by a lady doctor.
And she lived happily ever after?
Well, she couldn't indulge in strenuous activities like handball, but otherwise, she was fine.
That's nice.
An idiot I've been as a young person in this industry who has no filter and no idea what.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business.
Weird.
Not like Snow White. The reason why is that the actress that plays Snow White, she acts like a bitch all the time.
Weird.
I don't need your business.
And everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
I don't need your business. Thanks.
Big mouth Rachel Zegler just faced another devastating blow. And this time, it's not just critics or angry fans, it's South Park, and they're not holding back. In a savage new episode, the legendary animated series unleashes pure fire on Zegler, exposing the complete disaster that Disney's Snow White remake, its name, Woke White, the so-called reinvention.
You think it's perfectly normal that Carmen is suddenly a black woman?
You probably don't like that Indiana Jones got replaced by a female either, huh? You probably have a problem with Black Spider-Man.
But here's the best part. They did it with that signature South Park swagger, no filters, no apologies, just pure, unfiltered chaos.
No, make it more lame. That is exactly what they're doing. And that is why we hate the diversity, equity, and inclusion casting and writing in movies.
And yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. A full-blown mockery of Disney's desperate, cringeworthy attempt to modernize a beloved classic. They've been hiding this disaster for years. But now, there's nowhere left to run.
This is no ordinary apple, my dear. It's a magic wishing apple. A wishing apple? You offer it to me freely. In place of the patriarchy, you would have a queen! Not white, but diverse, inclusive, and equitable! I will become the leader I know I can be! All shall love me and despair!
Oh, what has she done to you? Fear not, First Love's kiss can break any curse.
And now, South Park isn't just poking fun. They're turning Rachel Zegler into a national joke, a parody the entire world is about to witness. They've been setting the stage for this for years. And now, the mask has finally slipped. Sources close.
What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point? You've worked so hard on it.
I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
After the episode dropped, chaos exploded across the internet. Clips of the Savage parody spreading like wildfire, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. Every platform ignited. They've been hiding this storm for years.
Who's been the most exciting person for you tonight?
Oh my god.
Besides, Bajut took the wine out of my mouth. Besides,
What the hell is he?
Because right now there's more dwarves on this podcast than there are in the new Snow White movie. And that's probably due to Peter Dinklage.
Yep.
When I was a child, I used to think Snow White was a Japanese lady. She has geisha-like pale skin, black hair, and tends to 7 ugly white men.
Disney character you identify with most? Mickey, Nemo, Peter Pan, or Dumbo? Dumbo. That's sad, but yeah, like...
Well. How the turntable...
So will she rise or bow her head? Will she lead or just be led?
She didn't just stay quiet. She fought back. Hard. Insiders say Rachel Zegler demanded that Comedy Central pull the episode. That's right. She rallied her team, pressured the network, tried to bury the entire thing. She called it defamatory, targeted, and dangerously humiliating. But here's where the real humiliation began. Because if getting torched by South Park on national TV wasn't brutal enough...
all that walking made me sleepy. This bed's too hard. This bed's too soft. And this bed is just like the first one. Also too hard. I guess I'll sleep in the one that's too soft.
Yep. Even though The Simpsons is technically part of Disney's empire, that didn't stop them. They went all in, with their own savage, merciless parody of Rachel Zegler, and the full-blown disaster that was Snow White.
Because a woman shouldn't have to depend on a man. Snow White was brought back to life by a lady doctor. And she lived happily ever after? Well, she couldn't indulge in strenuous activities like handball, but otherwise, she was fine. That's nice.
The episode doesn't hold back. It features a brutal fake reboot called Snow Woke, the reimagining, a not-so-subtle slap straight at Disney's crumbling attempt to rewrite a beloved classic. But it gets even darker. The princess...
Whoa! She's beautiful.
Maybe she's been placed under some kind of a curse.
And all that will wake her is the kiss of a handsome...
I'm awake already!
Guess it's you and me again, doorknob.
So Snow White slept and waited for her prince to come, but he never did.
It's almost like the entire industry is lining up to take her down. One by one, they're roasting Rachel Zegler. And Disney? They can't, or won't, lift a finger to stop it.
Excuse me. Your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you?
I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that
That I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters? Get over your entitlement. I'm not some damsel in distress waiting for you to ride in on your high...
Now, hold up. Because South Park and The Simpsons aren't the only ones coming for Rachel Zegler, the Snow White disaster. It just hit a whole new level. And now, Jack Black is right at the center of the storm. According to shocking reports, the Hollywood legend confronted Rachel directly after her controversial interviews exploded online. Insiders whisper, the clash was so intense, it pushed Rachel straight into therapy.
Always want to tell a fun, exciting story, and every time I've ever made a movie, I go into it going, I want this to be the best movie ever.
Or what?
They're leaning into woke. Hardcore.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash. I wanted my money back. It was very disappointing.
Nobody wants a movie about true love. What kind of woman do we want out there seeking true love, Eliana? It'd be outrage.
Every way that Disney changed the story, it changed it for the worse.
They are pretending like Rachel Zegler is the first of them all when she looks like Lord Farquaad in the film.
The new Disney boss babe, who is Rachel Zegler, the inverse of happy.
So she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
Jack Black isn't just blaming Rachel Zegler. The failure of Snow White runs much deeper, and fans had no idea. Insiders reveal he's also pointing the finger at Gal Gadot. According to reports, Jack believes both actresses failed, delivering stiff, lifeless performances that felt soulless, disconnected, empty.
Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest of them all?
You had one job.
Just the one.
Kalel, no! Max Lord! You're putting yourself and everyone else in grave danger! I need you to give me the stone! What happened to it?
What did you say?
So exciting. Very interested to find the man who brought those.
Why should I help you?
Because we're asking you nicely.
Just tell me what it costs to get her away from me! Name a price! I'll buy the whole damn boat if I have to. Who are you? The lasso of Hastia compels you to reveal the truth. Now, who are you? But who?
Enough.
I said enough! As Amazons, this is our duty.
You have no idea what kind of power you're doing.
Sources close to the situation are dropping bombshells. Jack Black didn't just dislike the film, he was outraged. He felt the on-screen chemistry was non-existent. The acting? Soulless. This wasn't just a bad review, it was a fatal flaw. A huge reason the film failed to connect with audiences on any level. Now here's where things get wild. Joe Rogan and Bill Maher, two men who rarely see eye to eye, are both saying the same thing. This could be Disney's biggest flop in decades. The first signs were there long before the film even hit theaters. Whispers spread like wildfire. Disney was completely rewriting Snow White's legacy. They wanted to scrap the heart of the story, the romance, the timeless love, and the iconic dwarfs. What did they replace it with?
No, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love.
Oh my god.
Suddenly, the unthinkable started happening. People who had already bought their tickets began questioning the very foundation of the film. They asked themselves, did Rachel Zegler even care about the story she was hired to bring to life? But just when they thought it couldn't get worse, it did. Old social media posts surfaced, and what they uncovered was nothing short of explosive. Zegler had blasted an entire political group, telling anyone who supported President Trump to go away and never know peace.
She came out and took a large dump on half of the country, everyone who voted for Trump.
But you are not entitled to call for Trump supporters to be harmed. Like, you are actually not entitled to do that. And so let me just remind you, Rachel Zegler, of what the map looks like, just so you can understand when your Disney movie is coming out, how many people you are wishing harm upon. Like, this is America right now. I will love you through these 4 years as best I can. F Donald Trump. Yeah, totally stable thing for her to be posting, wishing harm upon Trump voters, wishing that we have no peace.
They say all you have to do to make your wish come true is let it echo, 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 echo.
It's awful, generic. Never mind that the lyrics make no sense at all. All you have to do to make your dream come true is let it echo. Is it like on a metaphorical level?
Meanwhile, the tension only intensified. Bill Maher, known for his sharp commentary and no-holds-barred takes on political correctness, couldn't hold back. He tore into the absurdity of it all. The prince being labeled a stalker, the dwarfs erased, all in the name of progress. For Maher, it wasn't just another debate. It was a stinging example of woke culture going too far, overcorrecting, and ending up offensive in the worst possible way. The real victims? Little person. Actors who lost out on roles that were once iconic.
These big bad feminists now are telling us that's ridiculous. How dare you want to meet a handsome prince and be swept off of your feet and live happily ever after? No, you should want to be the prince. You should want to go out and fight the bad guys with a sword.
Then it happened. The romance, the very core of the original Snow White, was erased. But it wasn't just an omission. No, this was a blatant rejection of everything the story stood for. Snow White's tale isn't just a fairy tale. It's a battle. Love triumphs over evil. Yet Rachel Zegler boldly declared she had no interest in portraying a woman dreaming of a prince.
So no prince or a different kind of prince? I'm sure a lot of people will assume it's a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie. Right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. Yeah. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood.
As the storm around Rachel Zegler raged on, two heavyweights, Joe Rogan and Bill Maher, hammered home one brutal truth. They both made it crystal clear. Disney didn't just miss the mark, they missed the entire point. You see, audiences don't come to the movies for a lecture. They come for an escape, for stories that entertain and inspire.
You just can't close your mouth. You just can't be sane, even when you do open your mouth. I think this girl does not deserve a feature-length film, but rather she deserves to be in a padded cell.
Even beyond Rachel Zegler's explosive attitude, the cracks were already showing. Production decisions, ones they thought would save the film, ended up becoming the perfect storm for disaster.
Dwarfs make it or no?
Well, the CGI dwarfs did. Of course, that goes back to the original controversy where Peter Dinklage, a very talented little person actor, said, Why are we doing that? We've hired a Latina actress to be Snow White. That's progressive. But you're going to hire little people to play the dwarfs? That just seems like a step backwards. And then, of course, Disney instantly buckled and said, okay, we're going to add magical creatures.
Then they got even crazier and they decided that the dwarves in Snow White weren't woke enough, okay?
Instead of honoring the legacy, Disney made a move that shocked even the most loyal fans. Rather than refining the dwarfs with fresh, thoughtful nuance, they chose to erase them entirely. Gone. In their place, a strange parade of CGI magical creatures. Soulless, awkward, and bizarre, and when the leaks finally hit the internet, fans couldn't believe their eyes.
And then they couldn't put dwarfs finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive. You'd think the most progressive thing would be get people jobs, and dwarfs want to work. That many scripts that come down the pike.
No, it's 7 of them.
That has, and there's seven dwarf jobs here. But because I think it was Peter Dinklage said this is, this is not right.
Many exclaimed they looked like cheap placeholders from a forgettable fantasy flick, completely missing the distinct personalities that made the dwarf so lovable. Little person actors were furious, pointing out that each dwarf would have been a major role they rarely get the chance to land.
You're replacing jobs that people could have as little people. Snow White and the 7 dwarfs, it's 4 dwarfs, you know?
These are roles made for actors of my stature. I can't go out for the Harrison Ford or the George Clooney roles because that's not for me. Right. And now it's taken away. I don't feel that's right.
The 7 dwarfs of Snow White have, of course, all just disappeared, and now they're the 7 dysfunctional men.
They couldn't have dwarves. Do you guys remember?
Yeah, because Peter Dinklage and all them were talking crap.
So originally they
took
a
picture of what the dwarves were supposed to look like.
I can find it, but it was an array. It was the DEI of
DEI
dwarves.
dwarves.
Yep. Well, they had to reshoot the film and use CGI dwarves. There you go.
Those guys didn't make it.
No.
That guy's 6'2".
And they were like, what? We just want to work. We're dwarves. So,
I guess, what are we going to have? Like a lesbian, a trans person, someone in a wheelchair, someone of color? I don't understand. Why weren't the dwarfs enough? But apparently they were too offensive because the most famous dwarf of all, Peter Dinklage, said something negative about it back in 2022, thus ruining the biggest acting roles the dwarfs had ever seen since the creation of Willy Wonka's Oompa Loompas back in the 1970s.
Within days of release, headlines delivered a brutal verdict, a certified bomb. Reports revealed the film cost over $200 million once marketing was factored in. Disney had dared to hope for a $150 million opening weekend. Instead, the reality hit like a sledgehammer. Just $43 million. A catastrophic collapse no one at Disney saw coming. A legacy remake that should have been untouchable, reduced to ashes. Audiences who ventured into theaters didn't stay silent. Many walked out, furious it felt like a betrayal of the original spirit. Meanwhile, doll lines and themed merchandise sat untouched on dusty shelves. A ghost town where magic should have thrived. Families weren't just unimpressed, they were boycotting. The message? Loud, clear, and devastating. You can't trample on tradition, alienate half your audience, and still expect box office gold. But now the haunting question lingers. Is this the moment Disney's fairy tale empire finally begins to crumble?
Who the hell are you to say all of Andrew's could get cut? Like, who are you?
Oh my God.
Are you Disney? I've read your book, and I have. It's a phenomenal book. You're losing generation of loyal viewers. When you think about Snow White, what is the premise? What is the story?
It's a love story. It's a love story.
It's a dream for a girl to grow up and a man falls in love.
I'm really upset that it's that the biggest theme here is that it's anti-men. She called him a...
As the disappointing returns trickled in, whispers of chaos began swirling inside Disney's walls. Sources claimed executives were completely blindsided by just how deeply Rachel Zegler's political firestorm had burned public trust. Behind closed doors, panic reportedly set in. Some insiders say the creative team scrambled, desperately trying to course-correct mid-production. But the damage was done, and the cost? Rumors swirled of reshoots so massive, they devoured millions. More.
I've been in a full meltdown about this girl for a couple of years now, and how they had her tweet out like a little, "Yay, Snow White, can't wait, so excited, I love to play her." And she did it and got like millions of views, and they were like, good job, Rachel. And then she, like, minutes later followed it up with, and never forget, free Palestine. And then they had to hire a special media consultant for her to follow her around all the time and make sure she didn't continue shitting on Snow.
Yet, every interview from Zegler only fueled the fire. She boldly declared she was proud to throw out the idea of a prince, claiming the film was more relevant than ever. Critics weren't impressed. They pointed out she seemed more focused on scolding fans for loving the original than promoting her own version. Behind the scenes, panic spread like wildfire. Executives were left scrambling, wondering if they should just let Snow White fail quietly in theaters, hoping for a streaming redemption later. Could they salvage the franchise with a sequel that walks back the changes? Right now, everything seems uncertain, and Disney's once untouchable brand is hanging by a thread. Rachel Zegler just experienced the ultimate Hollywood nightmare. Picture this, sitting alone in a near-empty theater, watching her own film implode in real time. And not even the discounted Tuesday tickets could save it. The so-called woke Snow White remake didn't just bomb, it vanished, slipping into complete oblivion, leaving Zegler and a handful of die-hard friends as the only witnesses to its destruction. For an actress once hailed as the next big thing in Hollywood, this was a brutal, soul-crushing reality check. The numbers are in, and the verdict is undeniable. Nobody showed up. On March 25th, 2025, Zegler gathered her closest friends, Ela Mason, Jorge Mason, Remy, and Maria Isabel Demison, for what should have been a proud moment, watching her film on the big screen. But when they walked into the theater, it felt more like a deserted ghost town than a movie premiere. There were almost no other people in sight. Still, her friends tried to salvage the moment. As Zegler's name flashed on the screen, Ila shouted, "Zegler!" a forced excitement in her voice. Rachel nervously laughed, attempting to pretend. Everything was fine. Now, no one knows if they actually rented the theater or if it was just naturally that empty. Either way, the silence was deafening, louder than any applause. Trying to make the best of it, they jumped on a viral trend, approaching a Regal employee asking, "Please, for which movie?" It was as awkward as a birthday party where nobody shows up. Even the Snow White popcorn bucket seemed embarrassed. But if you listen to people like Joe Rogan, Bill Maher, or other cultural critics, this fiasco could be the wake-up call Hollywood never saw coming. They argue that studios, in their desperation to avoid controversy, have become so obsessed with virtue signaling that they've completely lost touch, overcorrecting to the point where they now face even bigger backlash.
I am walking into Snow White, 2 p.m., house seating. Let's see how empty it is. I hope it's off the boat we go. I hope. Sound like I hear a couple of people. One, two. Okay. 2.
As the wreckage of Snow White smolders, Hollywood's biggest names are watching in disbelief. Directors, producers, they know what's coming next. The modern remake disaster has sent shockwaves through the industry. Whispers are growing louder. Layoffs at Disney could be on the horizon. The cost of these repeated failures, Lightyear, Strange World, and now Snow White, has left Disney's finances in ruins. What was supposed to be a surefire hit has crumbled. Investors are furious. A classic that should have conquered the box office has now sparked an unprecedented collapse. This could end everything. What will the future of remakes look like now? The pressure is mounting, and the fallout is just beginning.